This is A Few Good Fights, proudly brought to you by the MMA Movement. I'm your host, Noel O'Keefe, and I am joined, as always, by Robert Palin and Sean Taylor. This week, we talk the big MMA news. We cover UFC 236 with Brendan Dorman, and we're joined by Jose Shorty Torres, who makes his Brave Combat Federation debut this Friday night. The big MMA news, and nothing was bigger than the card that went down at the weekend. We were treated to two incredible co-main events. Let's start though with that main event that's seen Dustin Poirier beat what we all, in fairness, thought was the unbeatable Max Holloway in this fight. So we're obviously joined, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on audio, we're not saying he's the best, we're just saying there ain't nobody better. Brendan Dorman. But Brendan, how impressed were you with Dustin Poirier's performance?
Holy shit, impressed. I didn't see that. What was the subtle? Didn't see it, man.
What was the subtle differences and things he done, Brendan?
His footwork and his accuracy of his boxing. His hands have become very accurate, and honestly, he looked strong, man. He looked healthy. He looked like he filled out a tad. You know, like he packed on probably not a bunch of muscle, because, you know, and I don't know what kind of cut he makes 155, but he looked like he's arrived, and there's kind of a tie-in with Max eventually with that, because remember that was kind of my thing with him being thin. I'm like, we don't have anything to gauge Max at 155 on. Well, we kind of did now. Now we do, right? Because the power disparity was different, but Dustin didn't always look like that at 155 either. You know, he looked really good against Gaethje. He got caught more by Max, but hurt more by Gaethje. Does that make sense? And I do think somehow those 10 pounds just seem to make a huge difference, you know?
Dustin Poirier did say that he finds it difficult now to make 155. He says that the cut is actually quite big now, so that probably tells you a few things.
It does. Yeah, because he looked fucking, you know, jacked up, like fucking
chest
filled up,
back.
his shoulders are wider, and you could see it. His punches had that sting where it could, you know, if you were front row, you would have heard it. You know what I mean? He had that zip on his punches, because in commentary, if you notice, kept saying it too. Like everyone in commentary was like, oh, it's just I don't think they said disparity in power, but I think they said maybe difference in power.
You could really see though at the start in the first round, you could really see that when they start trading, you could see Holloway sort of going, oh, this is going to be my type of fight, and he wanted to get involved in that trade-off, but then he felt the power of Poirier and he was hurt, and you could then see him back off. He was hurt, he got caught, but he realised pretty fast in the first round that he can't take them shots. Poirier was landing with something we spoke about it, but was something Dan Hardy brought up as well that put it in my mind, was when Poirier, sometimes he smothers his boxing. He smothered his work. I didn't notice that with this. I thought his distance management was beautiful.
Get rid of that.
Yeah, he really did. He was getting in, and his shot selection, he wasn't rushing for the finish. Sometimes you might accuse him a little of that previously he'd go hunting the knockout while he was letting the knockout come to him, although it didn't come to him in the end.
That's what I was going to say though. I thought that he fought well as the bigger fighter. He didn't, like, he was economical with his strikes. He was still throwing a lot of strikes, but he wasn't throwing silly strikes. He was throwing good strikes, and I don't know what the accuracy was, but I'd imagine it was pretty good.
Those are all wonderful points, guys.
Yeah,
you're spot on.
And it was crazy to look at when you really thought that Holloway was coming into it, when you get Poirier up against the cage and start ripping to the body and throwing his hands. And
I was like, here we go.
This is Max. It's Max time now. And he'd throw like 8-10 punches, and then Poirier would throw one counter back that would shake Holloway to the core. And it's like, so them 10 punches you just thrown that done nowhere near as damage as the one I threw back at you, and that seemed to be there. And you could see Holloway was always going, this is it, this is the round, I'm gonna. And the Max way, you could tell Holloway loved the fight. But I think it was a huge learning point for him. Is that 55 is a different beast.
You'd never think 10 pounds, right? You don't. It doesn't sound like much, but man, it looked it. It definitely looked, because when they did face-offs with, you know, pre-weigh-ins and all that, Max looked taller, and who knows who was wearing what kind of shoes, you know what I mean, or whatever. But height, it's not always height. Sometimes it's how you fill out too, right? Dustin looked he looked bigger width-wise, wider shoulders, and when you're more of a hook puncher. Like his power is in those said hooks that you mentioned prior, right? And uppercuts. He was landing a lot of uppercuts through the guard. It was shot selection. It was just wonderful. And I always said about him, I didn't want to count him out because his coaching is so, ATT's coaching is just so fucking good, man.
Yeah.
He's corrected so many things that he was doing wrong prior. You know, he didn't over grapple. Remember I was saying that? I'm like, why would you announce it if that was your plan? It wasn't his plan. His plan was to keep working on that fucking boxing.
You could hear Mike Brown. You could hear Mike Brown in his corner calling for level changes and stuff, and he went for it the odd time. But I think that was also just to keep Holloway guessing. But I do believe that Poirier was thoroughly enjoying the fight as well.
But I think your point, and kind of complements what Brendan said as well, is I do think he improved in a lot of ways, especially that brawling way, because there was moments, as you said, when Max Holloway was landing them kind of the small shots, but they were landing and they were doing a little bit of damage. And if it was Poirier of old, he probably would have just brawled back with him. He would have went with it, and Max probably would have won that fight because of the situation, the positioning. He was up against the cage, maybe. But Poirier done a good job defending it and then landing the big shot and getting out of there. He didn't really engage the brawl too much while his back was against the cage. I thought that was excellent.
I do agree with you, and to complement that as well, if you look at his previous opponents, like he's fought in his 4 previous fights, he's fought Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje, and Eddie Alvarez. So he knew, like he's been in there with guys who fight that way at that weight class. And you could just, as we've said a few times now, there was just a difference in power and size. And Holloway, like, pure class in the field. And you know what? I like this happened to me on the 2 fights. At the end of that fight, I stood up off my couch and I applauded. Being a couch potato fan, I stood up and I applauded. I was like, thank you, that was incredible. And then all the respect in the cage, where I think Poirier said something like, to be the best you have to beat the blessed, but you're blessed or something. And he was like, diamonds are forever or something. And it was real.
It was awesome.
It was the moment in the ring. They embraced.
That was awesome.
Beautiful.
But even during the fight, at the end of rounds, they almost had a Lawler McDonald moment where they stood, but it was almost a stood of fuck, bro, you're good. It was you're incredible, like, and it was, man.
You guys ever been in a fist fight with like one of your friends in real life? That ever happen?
Many a beer. Yeah.
If not, it's okay. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Afterwards, don't you usually, if it's one of your homies, you kind of fucking hug it out? Like, sorry, man. It's like, you got it out, you know.
But what I loved about
that shit, I love when it's not crossing the line. No one was spitting on someone purposefully.
Stop spitting on him, Dustin.
Man, it was awesome. It was a fucking wonderful night for the martial artist, if you will.
And
he needed that. He did that night so bad.
What I loved as well, Brendan, about it was Max Holloway, when they were talking, said, get that fucking word interim or whatever way he said off. He said, you just beat a world champion to become a world champion. You're a world champion, bro.
That was awesome,
and that's also true as well. But
it was wonderful.
Like, out of it, like, what realistically, Brendan, like, because it's interesting, I want to know your opinion on this, because Rob actually said this to me earlier in work. So you robbed my thing about Dustin saying about 55 before, so I'm robbing your point.
Okay.
This really shows how intelligent George St. Pierre was when he said he's not moving up in weight class because the size, you need time to build your mass and your size to compete at a weight.
Too.
And so when you look at that, does that just prove how smart of a fighter and IQ George St. Pierre had, or is that a little unfair to Max Holloway?
Well, they're such different fighters, so... with George, it's guessing jab or double leg, right? And it sounds like so simple, but good luck. Everyone knew what he was doing, right? And he lost twice and avenged both very, very convincingly, you know. But Max being a striker, you think sometimes maybe not as much of a weight issue, right? Because it's striking. But with 4-ounce gloves, it's like maybe it is just as different. No one really seemed tired in that fight. I think Dustin slowed down because the body work of Max is just savagery. He's so good at finding routes to the body, man. He's like that Inoue boxer that I covered recently, Japanese kid. I don't know if you guys watch that breakdown, but he's just got these fucking creative paths to the body. Max does it differently, obviously, and MMA striking is just different. And I talk about Max specifically in this regard all the time. But yeah, it was a pop thing. I bet if you look at the strikes, like the total amount of strikes, Max may have even landed more strikes.
It was close.
You know?
It wasn't
cumulative. If not, they were pretty damn close.
Yeah.
But one had much more zip on him. You know?
So for what's next? We'll start with Max Holloway for you.
Yeah.
What's next for you, Max Holloway? Does he go back to 45 and defend his crown?
Yeah, I hope so. Health, if he can do it healthy, yeah. If not, and he's got to stay at 155, I think he's got to pack on the, do the GSP thing. Take some time, pack on some muscle, because he was in the fight, and his heart is too big. It's like it's too big for his own fucking chest sometimes. Yeah. He was getting hurt, man, a lot. But he just doesn't. That guy doesn't have fucking quit in him. He doesn't understand that. So I'd like to see him go back to 145 where he's been dominant, because I think Zabit and or Volkanovski's on that path. Yeah. And those are really, really awesome.
Great fights.
Really awesome. Those are exciting prospects to see coming in their comeuppance.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
So no prize for guessing the next question. Dustin Poirier, is it Khabib next, or is it Nate Diaz, as Conor says?
Well, Khabib wants it and he's the champ. So,
yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah, and
like if it's fucking Nate or Conor, Khabib has to fight Conor, I'm fucking boycotting.
I don't believe that. But obviously, anybody who knows you knows you're a big Khabib guy. What does Dustin Poirier have to do to beat Khabib?
What did you have there? Yeah,
did you see something in that fight that makes you go, Khabib's got to be careful?
Find God.
But honestly, did you see something in that fight that potentially is danger for Khabib?
No, zero.
Well,
he's the best fighter in the world. When the fuck are people going to wake up to that? It's crazy to me that people don't see it. He's 27-0. No one's tested him. No one's even heard him.
Yeah.
Ever. Dude, he's that good. He's just that good. Now, could he get caught and get? Yes, everyone can. Eventually. I just don't. I don't think Dustin's a guy.
Yeah.
I don't think there is a guy that can make 155 that can beat Khabib. I just don't. Until I see evidence of him having a chink in his armor, but I can't. Who analyzes the whole game as well as I do? Not many people. There's people that can, but not a lot that speak English anyway. Maybe there's people in Japan. I don't know. But I think I'm pretty good at it. And that guy's special. Khabib's special, next level special. And Dustin earned that shot. So I wish him well, because I think it'll be an honorable lead-up, build-up, and fight itself. I think it'll be interesting. I think as long as Khabib stays standing, Dustin has a shot. For sure. He's got better boxing, but Khabib's boxing is getting better every fight, too. And he's not going to suffer from the same thing Max did, as far as, like, if he lands. Khabib punches hard. It's just that he's not slick. Yeah. He's not the striker Max. I'm not delusional here. So, can he win? Yeah, but I think that line will be big. Like, in our odds, it'll be minus, like, 3-ish for Khabib, I would think.
I think it was like minus 280 or 70 or something like that. I think they released odds on it
already. Opened already? Okay.
Yeah, someone else. Yeah, I don't know what bookmaker
Dustin
was.
Wants it, right?
Is that right?
Has Dustin confirmed that he wants it?
Huh?
Yeah.
Dustin. Yeah.
He said it. He said
Khabib definitely wants it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he said post fight. He said to Rob Daniel Cormier, "Yo, Khabib, get your shit together. We got a belt to fight for."
Yeah.
I got to get in touch with Henzo because they want to do it in Abu Dhabi.
Dana said September looks likely.
Yeah, in Abu Dhabi, which is big,
so
big territory.
Not go then if it's there,
Yeah. So just the rest.
See Khabib's father in his corner, in other words.
Yeah. The rest of the card wasn't much notable apart from the co-main event. Before we actually get into the fight, is this potentially fight of the year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh. My God, yeah. Title fight is one of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, I was going to say top 10 fights of all time.
It's fresh, but like it feels that way. It does feel that way.
Okay. So now getting into it, we spoke about it last week, and I referenced Pereira knocking out Israel Adesanya. That we were all fully aware wasn't 15 years ago, but unfortunately, somebody just tuned in. I think, somebody just tuned in for the first time to the show and didn't realize that me and Brendan tend to do these things to one another, just dismiss it. So, when we looked at it, I said Gastelum could get, if he gets in the inside, he can do that. First round, it started that way, Brendan. Were you a little fearful for Adesanya in the first round, the way Gastelum and credit to Kelvin Gastelum, incredible performance by him in defeat.
Yeah, I'm not claiming to be Miss Cleo. He got tagged. And the head kick scared me too. The fifth round, Israel Adesanya arrived. That's when he arrived. That was the craziest fucking shit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I was shadowboxing that entire fight. I had so much adrenaline going. I was fucking shadowboxing. Like a loser. fucking retard. But yeah, it was awesome. It was fucking amazing. Kelvin surprised me. What he was doing is keeping his hands weird, and he was jabbing like a flick jab, but his jab wasn't where the power was coming. It was coming in small hooks. So he was jabbing his way, pawing inside, strictly southpaw. And Izzy, if you notice, fought almost strictly orthodox.
Yeah.
He didn't switch to southpaw much. Found that interesting because I was saying, like, his defense-offense balance is interesting, too. I said it about Max as well, but Izzy's not any different. I had rooting interest. I was very honest about that. I don't dislike Kelvin, though. I think he's fantastic. And he looked it, and he's as tough as they fucking come. Those leg kicks, though, started adding up, and he started slowing down. That's why that head kick was like, holy shit. So I think that was in the fourth. Think.
Yeah, fourth round head kick. Yeah.
So that for that fifth round for Izzy to come out like that, he had extra pop on his right hand after 20 minutes of fighting an absolute animal, a Mexican savage in Gastelum. And he knocked him down 4 times in that round. I mean, won the fight that round for sure. Because I think it was probably tied 2-2. You know.
Yeah.
Technique wise, Kelvin has some of the best subtle footwork in boxing. In MMA, he does. It's very subtle. It doesn't look flashy because it's not, but his defense is good and is in and out. Like he leaps in and covers this great distance, but being kind of shorter and stockier, you don't expect him to ever look long in any regard, right? But he covers that gap. I noticed very quickly. He covers space quick, and because Israel's not a John Jones type where he's gonna like poke you in the eye every time. And then talk shit about fucking people that take a little shine from sociopath cunt. Besides that, his boxing was surprisingly amazing. I knew it was very, very good, some of the best. But his distance control awareness, whatever you want to call it, and his actual like strike selection with his hands, fantastic. But Israel's boxing was wonderful too. His is just more of like it's more like. How does he use his hands to strike? Because it's not a boxing style of throwing hands the way that Israel does it. Kelvin's a little more traditional.
At the sound of asking like a silly, obvious question, but sure, fuck it, I'll do it. Adesanya, he's got to walk away and not get hit as much. He's got to be more evasive, surely, because like taking on Robert Whittaker, a bigger guy, you know what I mean? He's proven, like, not saying that Gastelum has knockouts there as well, but if he fights the same style fight, he needs to surely, be more evasive and not get hit. Because when you look at him after it, he did get pieced up. He absolutely pieced up, and eyes closing up, lips swelled.
Most people in either of their shoes would have been finished at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, agree.
They both showed this moxie that you can't. For us, I agree with him on everything, but this one point, I don't think you can teach it. Don't.
Yeah.
No. I don't think you can teach heart, man. I just from first-hand experience. I don't.
Watching the fight for me, when it was starting the fifth round, the camera went on to Gastelum first, and he was getting up off a stool, and then it went on to Adesanya, and you could see him saying to himself, "Come on, Israel, come on, Israel." And that's what I look. I know he said he mentioned something that he was saying in his natural tongue, but he was there. You could see him saying, he was. You could see him as well. They were saying, "Come on, Israel, come on," and I was like. I was like, shit's about to get fucking real here. Yeah, because I was sitting, I watched it the next morning, and I had my daughter sitting on my lap, and I literally said, shit's gonna get real. So I put her in like a little play chair because I was like, this is gonna get exciting, and I don't want to throw her across the room.
I'm about the shadow box.
Yeah, I'm getting them shadow boxes. But phenomenal. But kudos as well. I think as well. Has to say he gets a lot of stick when things go against him or whatever. But Mark Goddard, I thought, done an incredible job allowing it to reach the bell, because I think it could have been stopped and people wouldn't have disputed it. But Gastelum was still fighting. He was still looking for a single. He was still looking to stay in the fight. And I think the fight deserved. I know that sounds silly, but it deserved to go to the judges' scorecards. And for once, the judges got it right too.
Not crazy. Let's avoid the controversy kind of thing. Right?
Yeah.
In other words, I didn't want any more shine taken from Style, but amazing performance.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want it to stand alone as is, because that could have been a 10-8 round. I don't know if anyone scored it that way, but it should have been. Yeah. And there was a point. Do you guys remember when he knocked him down and Israel was like going after him? He got like really fucking intense for a guy that's maybe one of his greatest talents is his relaxation. It's paramount to his striking, right? He's just moves a little bit out of the way, and hands are flowy, and he looks loose, you know? He got intense. He put his fucking hands up. He was like, come on. When he was chasing him down, he knocked him down. I think it was after the first knockdown, in between the first and the second. He just went at him, you know? If that was in like the third round, I don't know. He might have stopped it, you know? I don't know. I really don't know.
Incredible fight.
But I'm glad it went the way it did.
And this was the fight as well. When the bell went, I stood up and applauded. I was like,
yeah, me too. I literally had goosebumps. I turned around to my girlfriend. I was like, look at that, goosebumps. This
is, you know, when you're watching a fight, we do a thing here, Brendan. I'm sure you know, we do a thing called Educating Young Sean, where we're showing Sean fights from the past of great fights previously that Sean wouldn't have seen because he's a young lad.
I love it. I watched last week's about Robbie Lawler and Diaz. You guys have, Sean. P.S. I know you're behind the camera, but you do a fucking awesome job, kid.
Thanks,
you're a great addition.
Thanks, man.
Because a lot of times I'm a sociopath, so I just watch me. And then I'm just fucking around. No, it was excellent. So when I was watching last week, I realized, like, you guys have such a good chemistry, man. It's excellent. It really is. But continue. I'm gonna cut you off.
Yeah. So, but when I was watching that fight, I was like, this is. When Sean decides to leave the show and go to greener pastures, if we find another producer / Cavan man on camera, this is a fight that you go, if they haven't seen this fight, this is an educating young. Yeah,
but wasn't it like it was one of them gut check moments and star making moments from Adesanya in the fifth? It was real, like, as you said, you can't teach that. That's something that somebody just has, and we can't comprehend it.
He was fighting for 20 minutes.
Yes,
a guy that's knocked out everyone, right? Jacare.
Yeah.
The guy that's eating punches from everyone. Tyron Woodley's full shot, full power right hand. So is he like that's the thing about Whitaker that people keep saying, well, Whitaker's a different blah blah blah. Is he? I don't know. I don't know.
He's big. I think what I mean by that, he's bigger. But Gastelum for an 8.5 inch reach advantage, he took that away, man.
Center of gravity and more knockout power, I believe.
I think maybe faster hands as well. Maybe I need to look into that more.
I think Whitaker is a better striker because he's more diverse.
Yeah.
But I think Kelvin's got more pop and see, it's less kicking, but he's got more of a threat of a takedown. I don't think Whitaker wants to go for takedowns against Israel. Yeah. Did you notice Israel's grappling that no one's talking about?
I'm going to ask you that.
I was actually just going to ask you that, Brendan. We seen.
Go ahead.
I seen in the media day, someone asked Izzy, what do you think he might be better in you then? And Israel said maybe he knows a little bit more about jiu-jitsu than I do.
Yeah.
And we did see Israel attempt a couple of submissions as well. So just be interested in your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So. Last week I kind of brought that up. Remember being not afraid of jiu-jitsu thing. Is the way I worded it. But it's not totally explaining the entire situation, but hopefully you understand what I mean by that. He wasn't afraid of it. Clearly, he went for submissions, and that triangle was only like a few inches off from being locked up.
He said he felt his knee tweak as well because he said he done tore something in his knee.
He hurt his knee.
He said he felt his knee tweak,
which makes sense because he was trying to clamp on his foot. Over. It was like it was kind of like a pressured triangle where he had a hook and he swept it. There was a lot of like adjustments that could have been made, but until you're in there, it's easy to say that. 2 days later or whatever.
Yeah. What about the
guillotine? How about his takedown defense? You know what I mean? Like when he was head controlling, because I told you guys he doesn't use like a traditional underhook thing where you're gonna feint the shot and hit him with an overhand. That's not how Kelvin caught him at all. Level changing a little bit, but it wasn't the Khabib Conor punch. It was different. But his takedowns that he was stuffing in, like I think the third round, one of them where he had the head down, like he used the head to push it to the ground. I was like, man, and then he used like a quarter Nelson to posture up another time. Like his grappling is growing every single fight. Yeah. And the hype's real. Well, I don't give a fuck what anyone says. That hype is real.
Chael Sonnen and Rashad Evans were saying that to him, like every time you're a different fighter.
Yeah.
14 months. He came into the UFC and is now a UFC champion.
That's insane.
That's
Can I get one thing really quickly?
That's astounding.
Yeah, we have someone lined up here, but really quickly, the guillotine. What could have changed there? Could he have finished that guillotine? Because I know you love the high elbow.
Yes, he just should have fallen to the ground, man.
That's what I was.
You back roll over your choking arm. You back roll.
Yeah.
And if you got it, you pull guard, but you can't let them twist out, because that's what he was trying to do. You got to block the hip first. Exactly, so you should have dropped.
Yeah.
like jumped guard,
which is obviously it's a risky thing to do in a 5-round fight, and if he's not quite as confident in it, then maybe that's why he didn't do it, which is fair enough. Fair enough.
I understand why he may not have.
Yeah, but he could have.
If you're asking technically, like my favorite thing to do is talk technique. Yeah, he should have rolled to choking arm side. So if you're up and this is your choking arm here, you roll this way.
Nasty.
Backward.
There you are, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, just jumping guard. He would have had it.
There you go. We should start charging for this type of information. Go and check out Brendan Dorman's YouTube channel.
Yes.
Go and get some knowledge, get woke. And Brendan, see you probably potentially not next week.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it during the week in the private chat. But apart from that, gang.
Awesome. See you guys.
See you later, man.
Cheers.
It was revealed last week that TJ Dillashaw was suspended for 2 years after testing positive for EPO. So, a peek behind the curtain here with us. We record on a Monday, and as it would be, the last few weeks, we've been hit with huge news after we've recorded. And then everybody sort of says, why didn't you just talk about the big story of the week? So, here we are, a little late, but better late than never, I suppose they say. What did we think when we seen the news break of TJ Dillashaw testing positive, and so then going on and started confirming 2 years suspension?
Yeah, so obviously we knew that he tested positive for something because he was flagged. We didn't know what the substance was, but TJ didn't defend it, or he didn't come out and say it was a tainted supplement. They just waited to see what it was. So when it was brought out that it was EPO, and Jeff Nowitzki said that essentially there's no way of taking this stuff unless you inject it, so you have to knowingly take it, unless you're injecting something else and there's some tainted EPO in your
tainted heroin.
So I was kind of surprised it was EPO in a way, as in you don't see it that much in MMA. It has, I think Chael Sonnen might have tested positive for EPO. Everything, yeah. So I was surprised in a way there was that, but like, we know how effective this stuff is. We've seen it in other sports, so it's not surprising.
It's predominant in cycling more so,
because
it's endurance.
It's endurance, which is good for MMA.
Of course. And that's what I think people pose the question of, well, what's it do for him? It allows him to recover and train a lot more. So while his opponents will be, at home resting, etc., his recovery will be a lot faster, a lot speedier, and it just allows him to push himself more. So also, the Golden Snitch has said that they've gone back then to look back over all his tests since coming under the USADA program in 2015. But
apparently
they were tested for it then.
No, so apparently it's a new test.
It's a separate test.
Yeah, so they couldn't test for EPO at the time.
How well does piss store?
I don't know. You'll have to ask
Sean,
they freeze
you're
it.
from Cavan, you know this. How long does piss store for?
I'll only ring me out, lad.
Yeah, we'll test it. We'll do an experiment.
They freeze the piss, so it's in someone's gaff somewhere. Someone has it in the
But this was the thing. What was that documentary on Netflix? Was brilliant about your man who was doing the cycling.
Sicario. No, not Sicario. No, Icarius. Sorry, Icarius, wasn't it?
Icarus. Yeah.
Icarus.
Sicarios a very different movie.
Yeah. Icarus.
Well, it's about drugs, though, to be fair.
Flew close to the sun and his wings melted. That's Icarus, is it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Greek mythology. Ching. So there was a lot of stuff where the Russians were shown breaking into the room and changing the urine and stuff. I'll go with urine. I'll keep it pro.
Yeah.
After saying piss about 10 times. But yeah, it throws his whole career as well. And in some way, I'll be honest, in some ways, I'm delighted because you can't EPO your chin, boy, and you got absolutely chinned by Cejudo.
Jesus Christ. We're never getting him on the show.
Cheaters. No, but fuck him, he's
we don't want them.
Yeah.
You can't fight for 2 years anyway. It is important.
TJ
it is important.
is not welcome.
Yeah. 2 years?
Yeah.
Don't want you.
Yeah.
Apparently, according to Jeff Nowitzki, he didn't test positive in his previous, so they did go back and have a look. Yeah. So Cody Garbrandt came out and said, oh, look, you were on stuff. But apparently, the samples that were taken in for those fights, he didn't test positive. But it does throw a spanner in the works for TJ, big time. And when this was revealed that he did test positive for something, I said I wasn't surprised, just because he is incredibly competitive. He's the most competitive person I've ever seen. Yeah. So it wasn't surprising in that way.
Do this to get the edge.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure everybody's doing it, or a good portion of fighters are doing it. They just haven't got caught.
When the news came out first, I was like, it's going to be something diuretic wise or something to assist his weight cut down. But no, it wasn't.
We were talking. You were asking if it does help with weight cutting. I don't know, if it does in general. But if you can have more endurance, essentially it increases the red blood cells in your blood, and
more oxygen.
The oxygen can flow around the body. So if you can have more endurance, in theory, you can do more cardio. In theory, it does help. So it could have been something to do with that.
Question: 2 years.
Yeah.
TJ Dillashaw is 33 years of age.
Man,
That's a career done.
Should have been longer.
yeah, think so.
Yeah.
That was the maximum penalty, wasn't it? 2 years for an offence in that.
Well, then the maximum should be longer. Like
Yeah.
it's not like it was
Well.
a tainted supplement. It was he knew what he was doing when he was injecting it. Did you see his statement as well
Yeah.
on Instagram?
Mm.
Didn't sound very apologetic to me. He sounded more sorry he got caught.
I made a mistake. Yeah. He
Yeah.
said I made a mistake.
Yeah, I made a mistake. Like,
Injecting myself. I fell
Yeah.
off the couch.
fell on a needle.
Just so happened to be a needle with EPO.
You'd have to wonder though.
Perfectly injected
Yeah.
into my vein.
Yeah. Like imagine though being in the sport, and because we're not in it and we're not around these fighters, we don't know exactly what the percentage of fighters who are taking something is. But I remember Dennis Hallman had an interview years ago, and he said that it was 90+%. We don't know what has happened since USADA
the
come
thing
in.
is as well, the testing system is so slow to catch up with.
Yeah,
the likes
exactly.
of-
And we've
with-
seen that in
yeah.
Icarus. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my thing is, like, if you know that your competitors are most likely, or your competition is most likely taking something, imagine the pressure for you to take it. And I'm not saying that it's accepted that you do, but imagine the pressure. Like especially in a sport where a lot of the time you get a win bonus and a show bonus.
Yeah.
Or show pay and win pay. So imagine the pressure for you when you know most likely there's a 90% chance that guy is on something, that I have to take it because I need that edge as well. And I'm sure the
So
pressure
it's
is insane.
Follow the leader, essentially. That if you know all the champions, and that back to that Icarus is something that guy, he was only like cycling at like a semi-pro level, and he was like, he knew he couldn't get to the next part because everybody else was on juice. And then the idea was he was going to get juice and see could he get to their levels. And then the show went completely different angle.
But that's what happened with Lance Armstrong though. Like everybody else was on it, but he was the big one. He was obviously the one that was winning. So
He was just the best.
I'm not saying that's a reason why he should have done it.
He was the best
I'm sure there's crazy
But
pressure.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes of it. And I do agree, Sean. His post on social media wasn't more so apology. It was an apology that was caught.
He didn't once mention Cejudo for fight. Like, did he fought
No,
while on
actually,
EPO?
And Cejudo has said as well that he'd never fight TJ again after that. And like,
Yeah.
I think I think
You're
that's
not gonna
said
have to, I
now.
don't
But
think.
yeah, but like if that fight came around and they made it a big money fight,
Yeah, I think
but it is interesting. And I know we're doing it, we're dogging on him, man. Like it is a way. Like it's Anderson. Anderson's one of the best to ever do it. Like, and then when he was caught open for his little dick tablets and stuff, you just lose that amount of respect, don't you? But then people just forget. You know, like as in the John Jones situation, he comes back, he fights, and everyone's like, "Yay, John Jones is awesome."
That's the thing. When he does come back, Dillashaw, assuming he does, like
35,
it's 35, but
Bantam or Fly.
I can tell it's gonna be an event. People are gonna be like,
100%.
"Oh, can't wait to see him back now," because it's gonna be forgotten.
Especially if Cody Garbrandt goes on a bit of a run and he's the welcome back fight.
Yeah. People will forget about it, and he's gonna say, "Oh, you know, it happened."
Sean Shelby, you're
past
welcome with that matchmaking. If you can
Yeah.
imagine if Cody was there, because Cody is on a 3-fight skid, comes back and all of a sudden is on a 4-5 fight win streak.
Yeah.
TJ Dillashaw comes back, snake in the grass. Yeah, it's the fight to make.
Yeah.
Speaking to CNN, Dana White has confirmed that Conor McGregor is working towards making his return to the UFC cage, despite announcing his retirement. This was the shock of the week that Conor McGregor is not retired.
Jesus, I was convinced.
Conor McGregor has taken up a new hobby of writing the longest tweets.
Yeah.
He's really taking advantage of the whole 208 characters, or 280 characters, isn't he?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
lied
make
to us,
it-
Connor.
Yeah, you lied to us.
Yeah.
You snake. No,
Thanks for the cheese.
like we all assumed it. We didn't think he was gone. We thought it was a move.
What do we think, though, of his tweets? It seems like, you know, he's staying in touch. He's watching all the fights because he tweets after them and stuff like that. So, you know, like realistically, what is with the events that unfolded at the weekend? What's the realistic fight for Conor McGregor?
I still say Nate Diaz, even though he thinks that Poirier should fight Nate Diaz for some reason. Well, of course they were matched up, but Nate Diaz.
Who do you match? I don't know.
I don't care.
Yeah, I don't want to see Habib.
No,
point.
do you know?
I know exactly what you're saying.
I'll be honest.
Yeah,
I don't care. I just want to see him back in, and you know,
see how he does.
I want to stop reading about Conor McGregor on the front pages, and start reading about him on the back pages again.
Yeah.
That's all I really want to read about.
Justin Gaethje said he wants Conor.
Yeah,
or
that's a fun
Tony.
fight. Justin Gaethje would be a fucking fun
That'd
fight.
be awesome.
Myself
Yeah.
and
But that
Tony.
is
And
a
look, come
nightmare
here,
match to
come
come
here.
back to,
If Holloway wants to stay at 55, Conor Holloway 55 would be fun too.
Yeah,
But like,
I'd like to see Holloway, you know, get back into that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dana-
make his way into
yeah.
that division a bit slowly.
I like I said, I can't sum it up even better. I just want to talk about Conor McGregor on the back page and the
I
front
agree,
pages.
yeah.
That's because you're sick of all the controversy, all the whatever, and it happens in every sport. When someone is such a huge superstar in the sport, there's always this stories and always this thing. But look,
It's boring though, isn't it?
it is boring.
It's boring.
In a way, I'm sick of talking about Conor
Yeah,
McGregor
it's
here. It's so
boring.
much more fun talking about Conor McGregor leading up to a fight or whatever. So let's get back to that and let's stop talking about fucking pubs
Shite.
and clubs and fucking shite. You know what I mean? Shomp and you know what I mean? Just
Shomp.
talk about fights. A few good fights. Rich Franklin, talking about a few good fights, he's going to be inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame in July. The maths teacher's doing it for the guys.
Yeah.
Sean, any idea who Rich Franklin is?
I know the name, yeah. I haven't seen any of his
He's a
fights.
fighter.
I'm not going to lie. I do know who he is. I just haven't seen any of his
Hold
fights.
on to educating young Sean. Peek behind the curtains.
Spoiler alert.
Absolutely brilliant. Actually, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, Rich Franklin was an absolute beast. He's like the president of one or something now.
He's an executive.
So does that sort of show that One and the UFC are all buddies? You know, the fact is they normally wouldn't induct somebody when they're so heavily involved with another promotion.
I guess so. I know when the UFC had the anti-monopoly lawsuit at one point, they were like pointing at One, saying, "Well, One are bigger than us over in Asia, so you know so they were trying to get away with it in that way."
Yeah.
But it seems like they have a fairly good relationship. They done trade. You know, you wouldn't see that between Bellator and the UFC, so they seem to have a good relationship. But on Rich Franklin, absolutely well deserved.
Oh yeah.
People forget about Rich Franklin and how dominant he was in the middleweight division before a certain someone came over and dominated it afterwards. But he was it's kind of an interesting one for me because he was one of the first guys that I start watching because I remember Bravo.
Yeah.
That's where the fights used to be on. And
After
I
11
remember
o'clock on a Saturday, Rob.
Yeah,
I remember
yeah,
Bravo.
yeah.
Soft porn time, Sean.
I stumbled across the Ultimate Fighting Championship, and I don't know if it was a replay. I'm not sure if it was live.
It was not Unleashed.
Unleashed. I don't know what it was.
Remember the TV show?
Yeah,
Unleashed,
it was
when they used to
Ultimate
show
Fighting
that.
Championship. It was a promotion. It was on, and he was fighting Evan Tanner.
Oh yeah.
And that's the
Rest in
first
peace.
fight I remember actually watching and sitting down and saying, "What is this thing?" and then going
Oh,
back.
that was your first ever fight, Rich Franklin?
I think it was. Yeah. Which is UFC 42 in 2003. I think that might have been. But I remember that.
So is
vividly.
that your standout moment then for Rich Franklin that you remember?
Kind of in a way. There's been plenty of them,
yeah.
and you'll probably discuss one later. But that's one of them, just because that's how I got into MMA. But like the Nate Quarry knockout,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah. Poor Nate Quarry.
he
He was the fucking highlight reel
Yeah.
for every fucking UFC. The start of every
Yeah,
show. Poor
yeah,
Nate
yeah,
Quarry
yeah.
falling
The
like
zombie
a
KO.
fucking wood.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
What's your standout memory then of Rich
Yeah.
Franklin Noel?
The Nate Quarry is up there. But one that was a
Ah.
killer was when he knocked out Chuck Liddell.
With a broken freaking arm.
Yeah, his arm was broke. Liddell was coming in for the kill.
This was Liddell's last fight
Last-
before his.
Yeah. So he
Sorry.
was coming in for the kill. It was 2010, and like this isn't my favorite memory because he had amazing wins over like Vandalay and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Standout.
But
Fought in Dublin.
fought in Dublin.
Hendo.
Yeah, that's right. But it's one because it ended the era of Chuck Liddell, and Rich Franklin had a broken fucking arm. And Liddell was coming in wild, and he just caught him with a little clip and knocked out Chuck.
was it with the
but,
arm that was broken?
No, I think it
No.
might have been the other arm.
Okay.
So, cop out.
Yeah, didn't even throw the broken arm.
Doesn't deserve the Hall of Fame.
No,
Get him out.
Get him out of there.
Interestingly, him and Michael Bisping go in at the same time. Two middleweight legends in the UFC.
It's when you look at his record, like it
Man.
wins over Yushin Okami, Travis Lutter, Matt Hamill, Vandalay Silva, Chuck Liddell. Oh man, unbelievable!
that-
Nick Quarry,
that-
Evan
yeah.
Tanner, Ken Shamrock,
His early run, if you look
Jorge
at it,
Rivera,
yeah, you look at his early run, he went 22-1 and 1.
Marvin
he had-
Eastman back
yeah.
in the day in Nevada Regional.
He was so dominant. People forget.
Oh yeah, he was unbelievable fighter, and like the UFC used to sell him off being a maths teacher.
Yeah.
Sean. That was their real selling point. Like
He's a
he's
maths
the
teacher.
everyman, and it's only when you look at Rich Franklin, you go, he ain't no fucking everyman. Look at him. Also called Rich Ace Franklin,
Yeah.
because he looked like Jim
Carrey.
Carrey.
So it's a
know.
bit like Ace Ventura, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
a bit like Steve Piven, fucking fireman as well. In his
Kind of,
his
yeah,
spare
which
time.
they should have taken a page out of the Rich Franklin chapter. Did you get it? Goldie? No? Okay. Someone will get it in the comments. Do you remember Goldie's? No, we'll forget about it. Move on.
Goldie. I was only talking about Goldie there the other day.
Noel's always talking about Goldie.
He loves Goldie.
No, he's going to be surprised. He's going to be shocked.
Go on.
I was talking with Phil Campbell and he was saying he misses Goldie on the broadcast. And I said, I actually think it's a lot better without Goldie now. And I said,
Annika's class.
I was like, no disrespect to Goldie, but over in Bellator, they're sort of just treating him like a catchphrase machine. Like that's
I
they
don't
throw a
disagree,
coin
yeah.
in his head and then he says
and
a
he
catchphrase.
goes, just like that, and then virtually identical, and everything, and it's just. And again, any of the Bellators I watch is like when anything happens, he says just like that.
Yeah, I know.
You
It's boring.
Yeah, it is boring.
Yeah. Moving on.
But yeah, Rich Franklin, absolute killer. Dana White says he will reveal the future of fighting, not just the UFC, in the next 2 months. What is it?
Who knows?
Bare knuckle boxing?
Yeah. We're
Bare
getting into
knuckle
bare knuckle
MMA.
boxing. Who knows? Like it could be anything. Really. Me and Sean had a brief chat today, and he mentioned something about streaming, and that got me thinking about potentially it's like Fight Pass being absorbed by ESPN Plus, and maybe all them promotions coming over to
on EM Plus.
Yeah.
A lot of people are giving out about lagging on BT as well.
Apparently so. Yeah.
There's some issues with like.
Didn't get any of that, but that's none of my business.
There's some issues with Vader streams. There's some issues with ESPN. So like some of the pay-per-views that have been on it so far, and some of the events. If you want to watch, say, a single fight, if you want to watch the main event from the weekend gone by, you can't actually just go in and search Max Holloway and click on Max's fight. You have to start the whole show and then try and find it within
like a VHS
within the event. Yeah,
fast forward.
Just little glitches like that. So that could
horseshit. Fix it.
Absorbing Fight Pass would solve that issue, but I don't know if it's the future of fighting.
Yeah, but like by that I mean that they have a load of promotions on their Fight Pass. Like it's like kickboxing.
Did you see
and
John Anik
grappling.
the other night going, coming up on Fight Pass, we've got Muay Thai fighting, Cage Warriors, bare knuckle battle. They literally, like,
they have
fucking hell,
everything.
John, can commentate about the fight.
The only thing that's not on Fight Pass is the UFC.
Yeah,
pretty much.
What I actually was
Which is
thinking
weird.
was, you know, this weekend's card. We're not talking about it really, but this weekend's card is fairly shite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why aren't we talking about it, Sean?
Yeah.
Do tell the audience.
It is like, but they're promoting it as a UFC card, so are they going, like, they could start, say, a UFC regional.
That's what I've been talking about.
Yeah. Like, and not promote, like, you're promoting a UFC event, but it's not a UFC event. It's
Who's fighting on the card?
Fight night. They do have
Who's
this
fighting on
already.
the card?
Fight night.
What profession are they?
MMA fighters.
Already. They're gonna say bin men.
No.
Plumbers. Yeah, for the future of fighting, I that's what I thought. I didn't actually see the context and why he said this or where he said
just
this.
said it in his post-fight presser.
I think
Brett
definitely.
He said it to Brett Okamoa. I don't know, but and he was really. Basically, the interview was, "How good was Holloway? ESPN is the best." And then, but like Holloway had a great performance. ESPN is the future. It was bizarre. It was a bizarre interview.
Yeah. Brett will probably do a scoop on it in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, probably scoop.
Sean, any other news?
Any other business? Yeah, UFC 239 already stacked, and Michael Chiesa and Diego Sanchez was also added to the card, and so was Jack Marshman. Again,
It's your favourite.
Did you see?
Every week you bring up a Josh.
He's been
Jack
added to the card, so he's going to have to go on AWOL again.
Oh shit!
Yeah, he's
The
going AWOL
UFC
again.
are cruel, aren't
Yeah.
they?
He should come out to whoa, you're in the army now. You don't remember that song. Speaking of Diego Sanchez, another news, he's posting on Instagram with this board called Barbie or something, and everybody's slaying him, going, "Oh, she's only in it for the money and all." Now she's an absolute
Yeah.
But
What's that mean?
You know,
He doesn't want
The
to get
people
into
listening need to see her facial expression.
yeah, like she's
They
she's what you would if you said describe a gold digger. It's exactly what you So everyone giving him shit, but like it's Diego, let him have fun. Like
Diego just want to have fun.
he does, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know what my point was there. It was just
I don't know where you're going with
Yeah,
it.
I don't know where you're
just
going.
weird news. I just thought it was funny. Like his Instagram post, and everyone was like, "Oh man, you're flooding your Instagram with this board, and she's doing nothing for you." So Diego,
I'm
watch
sure
your money.
she's doing plenty
You've
for him.
had like 175 fights. You know what I mean? Don't waste it on some absolute blow up doll. But at the same time, if she's not, have fucking fun with it.
Exactly.
Any news as well, Rob, of substance?
Did you watch Raw this weekend?
Yeah. Raw. No, there was a fight announced. Let me just
sure there
scroll.
was.
Yeah, let me just scroll here because I
That's
saw it
me, 'cause
today.
I didn't news
Charles Oliveira versus Nick Lentz at UFC Fight Night 151. Sorry, that was real.
But that's
yeah.
there.
Moving on.
Moving on. Brandon O'Knan announced via social media
yes.
that he's re-signed with the UFC in Dana White's Contender Series. I'm delighted
awesome.
to announce I've re-signed with the UFC and I'll be fighting at Las Vegas in June 18th. So, like I suppose he has to sign a contract to be with the UFC, but he got to go and win that fight and do it impressively to get back in there. But it's good to see him. Brendan O'Knan is clearly one of the best Europeans in the game. So yeah, he's not through his fault, but he's been jumping with the likes of ACB. He fought in ACB, and I think his last fight was on Celtic Gladiator, if memory serves me right. But yeah, good to see Brendan O'Knan getting back in there.
Other news, BJ Penn, there was some allegations about him.
Oh, BJ.
Did see them, yeah.
Ish, not great. Just check it out online. But apparently he's still lined up to fight at UFC 237, which is kind of weird. And they were talking about it on the broadcast, even though all the allegations are gone. I thought he would have just said, let's not talk about it, and then we'll see what happens.
What's his name? Fucking
what?
Your man that was on the same card as
I know. Strange. Anyway.
Yeah, but like I suppose, innocent to proven guilty.
No, absolutely, but it's just weird that they would have went out.
Stories, isn't it? Matt Hughes recently as well. BJ Penn. Yeah, it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So that's your big MMA news for this week. If you missed that, comment, and I'm sure Rob will get back to you in the comments. I've actually been very good in the comments.
You have,
lately. Talking to a lot of people.
What big news breaks when we leave the office?
Yeah, yeah. So if you're going, why didn't the lads talk about like DC popping and you know what I mean?
Imagine.
Yeah, it's we didn't know. But let's move it on and get on. Jose Shorty Torres. Delighted to say we are now joined by the most anticipated debut in Brave Combat Federation history. I don't think is overselling this in the slightest. Jose Shorty Torres joins us. So Jose, thanks a million for coming on to a few good fights, my man.
I appreciate you guys having me on.
I'm calling your fight on Friday night. So I've been doing a lot of research and stuff looking back. And I was intrigued by your story. Growing up, the career, like you're the definition of a mixed martial artist, a true martial artist. You started like Shotogan Karate when you were 4 years of age, and your mother basically traveled you around to every tournament around so you could compete. So just how important from you from that young age was that mindset to be traveling, competing so young?
Well, it was a huge thing because, given we're always outside in the streets, we didn't have technology like we have today where everyone's on phones, everyone back in the day were on bikes or walking to people's houses and doing their thing, having fun outside. Well, for me in my neighborhood, it just wasn't the best. We had police cameras on every corner just in case if something did go on the streets, a drug deal or a fight, the cops would immediately show up. So also with my family's upbringing with my brother and father, it just wasn't the best role models for me. So my mom was like, you're very energetic. You love all these Power Ranger shows, Dragon Ball Z, all these fighting shows. These guys are fighting for good, and you like to play fight with these guys all the time. How about you really learn how to defend yourself, and let's see how this goes. Well, all my family members, literally every single one of them wanted to be fighters. They just never had the opportunity. Well, they saw it in me, put me in karate, and they literally never let me quit. I went every single weekend. Didn't matter if I had baseball, football, basketball, wrestling, all these different tournaments all year round. I still had karate, and by the time I got to high school, eventually joined wrestling, joined Combat Do where I'm at today, and honestly, it's mainly Combat Do. I do say it saved my life because it mainly as a teenager, it's one of those points where you're experimenting, you make it or break it type of thing where you hang out with this posse or hang out with that posse. Well, my posse wasn't the best no matter who I hung out with. So by the time I got to high school and went to the gym, it's like that picture. Surround yourself with people who want to be just like you or be achieving the same goals. Well, for me, Combat Do was that place, and it really did save my life. Gave me a boost of morale, a sense of confidence, and really a sense of responsibility. I think because of that gym, I went to college, got a full ride because of college, graduating debt-free, and now a professional fighter with accolades that no one's ever been able to achieve before.
And again, like with that, it's something you mentioned with the technology today, in and around it, do you see a lull in kids wanting to sign up and follow and your sort of path that you've laid out? Have you noticed a drop-off in younger competitors?
I'm trying to get, like, even my nephew is nothing but technology. He wants to be a pro video gamer, which, hey, man, that's awesome, but you never know. There's some phenomenal pro video gamers out there. So it's one of those things that technology is taking over the place to where I think even if I dropped off my nephew, if I blindfolded him and dropped him off 2 blocks away from the house, if I take away his phone, he won't know how to get home. Compared to back in the day, we're all in bikes, we're all in, walking. How did we check if someone was home besides give them a phone call? We went to their house. Oh, they're not home. Well, we got to walk all the way back. So it definitely is a different thing. But for me, I'm trying to, even with technology, you see kids being more out of shape now. It's because it's just nothing but technology. They want to stay in longer. So for me, I'm just trying to get kids in the gym and off the streets. And if they're in the streets, being able to make the right decisions and have the responsibility to do so. And again, I believe the gym has taught me that.
When you were like in camp, is that something you tried to do? Did you try to disconnect from that kind of stuff? Does it distract you much? The phone, Instagram, all that kind of thing?
Well, no, because that's really my side money maker. That's what really keeps me alive. And I can tell you, I remember I ended up getting my phone stolen. I went out in Florida, got my phone stolen, and I couldn't get it replaced for about 10 days. It was the weirdest 10 days ever, because that's when you start to realize how much technology is in your life. Yeah. And I'm hanging out with a bunch of the American top team guys. We all went out to eat. We go to Starbucks to get some coffee, and out of nowhere, we're sitting at a circular table thinking we're all going to have a conversation. Everyone just looks down, is on their phone, and I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to look at the scenery in this place and just look at people coming in and out. And it really is something different, but it has changed the game. But for me, it does make me a lot of money. It does make me more popular. It makes me more investable and all these different things. But it has its cons with it. And I've been in trouble with my missus all the time, where I'm on the phone. She's like, "Hey, can you set like an hour a day off the phone?" I'm just like, yeah, my bad. Sorry.
We've all been there. Looking at it back into your starting your amateur MMA career, how, like, again, like you've an extensive amateur MMA career, 2 IMAF World Championships. How vital was that? Like, because again, when I was looking at you see a lot of guys like the older generation fighters that they learned their trade as professionals. So you learned your trade, and as I said in some notes I wrote, if draft pick was something that existed in MMA. When you were turning pro, you were the #1 draft pick. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But how important was that amateur career in setting up your pro career?
It was huge, and the crazy thing about it is I wasn't paying attention. I didn't know anything. I was just kind of fighting to fight. My coach was, "Hey, you won the first world championship." A couple of my friends who won it as well were like, "No, I'm going pro. This is like the Olympics. There's nothing else better." Well, my coach is like, "Hey, you have 1 more year of college. Might as well focus on college and stay as an amateur, because once you go professional, then you're going to start getting more serious. It's going to be a little too complicated. Let's just stay amateur, win worlds 1 more time, and then go from there," which is much easier said than done. And for me, my biggest fear was, oh, wait, what if I lose that? What if I lose the 2nd year? Then do I have to do it a 3rd year? So it was a mental thing. And eventually he convinced me. I was like, all right, you know what? Fine. I'm going to listen to you. You got me this far. The first thing he told me, even when I turned amateur, was we're not going to turn professional until we have at least 20 fights. Well, by the time I ended up getting to the 2nd IMAF World Championship, I was at that reign of 20. I think I was at 21 fights. I had 4 more fights at the 2nd World Championships, and I won it in a more dominant fashion in a harder year. Again, every single year that comes about, these guys are traveling more, they're competing more, there's more competitors. And I mean, there's more countries now. I think when I first started, there were 37. Now there's about 54, 57. So, it is a huge gap. And there's more tournaments now. There's not just the World Championships. When I was there weren't these, the Australian Championships, South Africa Championships, European Championships, and now Pan American Games. That's completely new to me, and I wish I would have been able to have that. But mainly with the gold rash guards, I'm really upset. I want a gold rash guard. But, man, it's just like anything. I mean, just like your job. They're not going to hire you unless you have some experience. So I look at it this way, and what I tell everyone, doesn't matter what age you are, this is practice makes perfect. And if you're trying to be a professional, sign me to Titan. Well, you only had 1 fight. No one's going to want to help you. But if you have an extensive career that's different, they're going to call away, and they're going to try to sign you. They're going to try to be the #1 draft pick. And for me, that was my thing. I got signed to Titan FC immediately, and because of that, my 3rd fight was for a professional belt. I mean, in 5 fights, I ended up doing what Conor McGregor did in Cage Warriors, but he was 14-2. I did 5-0, and I defended 1 in the process.
Wow. What was the big difference, if anything, when you finally turned pro, when you had that first pro fight? Was there much of a difference? Did you feel it?
The only difference was leading up to it. We had all these interviews, and for me, I'm thinking it's part of the job, so I didn't know we could say no. So I'm Mr. Yes Man, saying yes to every single interview, even right after practice, getting off the phone or getting off the gym mat and just going, hey, oh yeah, hi, just having a conversation. But leading up to it, I think I had a real bad anxiety attack. One guy told me, he goes, Shorty, you're amazing and all, but remember, you only make your pro debut once, so don't mess it up.
Ooh.
I'm like,
no pressure.
Oh man, you could have told me everything, but except for that. And slowly leading up to that fight, I was starting to believe the hype because, again, I never realized it. Eventually, people were like, dude, you're this, you're that, you're number one draft pick, whatever. And I never paid attention to it and slowly started to get into my head. And I had heard that quote, and I was like, oh man, what if I lose? Does all this hype go away? What happens next? And luckily for me, my coach literally slapped some sense into me, and I got in there and was able to choke out my opponent in 2 minutes and I think 6 seconds.
Not a bad start. Speeding it up, moving on to defended the Titan Championship. You got signed with the UFC. Went well in the first fight. It was a little strange of a finish, if we all remember correctly. Then the first speed bump of the career, a loss to Alex Perez. And then the weirdest thing for me, I remember when this happened. I remember you actually done an interview with Rob where you spoke about the UFC getting rid of the flyweight division, and you were one of the first casualties. And now when we're in the scenario we're in now, Henry Cejudo has beat TJ Dillashaw. We won't talk about TJ too much for the moment, but it now looks like flyweight is potentially alive and strong, but yet one of the top contenders was let go. So before we move on to talking about Brave, how does that sit with you now? Because I know at the time it didn't sit well with you.
Yeah, it's like a bad relationship. For me, I went in there, I had 9 UFC calls total. The 9th one I finally accepted, and in that 9th one I actually initially denied it because I had I weighed 151, so that's 26 pounds to cut in 9 days. And then the next day, I was laughing with my nutritionist. I was like, dude, they called me for this, whatever. It's always a 10-day notice, nothing more. And he goes, I believe we can make it. Let's try it. So we made it. And when I made weight, Jared Brooks didn't even think I was going to make weight. I think that's why he accepted the fight. But we ended up making weight. And right after, he's like, oh, cool, you ready to fight? I'm like, oh, yeah, I have to fight. I didn't have a camp. I didn't have anything. All I was focused on was cutting weight, which, again, I'm a flyweight. 26 pounds is brutal for me. That's actually more than quarter of my weight. So we go in there, the fight was the way it went, whatever, and I get ready for the Alex Perez fight, and I was just kind of being fat and happy. And I'm saying, hey, I want to fight in September. This is in June when I'm saying this. And they go, July comes about, and they go, hey, we have a last-minute fight for you. Would you like to fight Alex Perez in 20 days? I go, I'd love it. TJ Dillashaw is the main event. He was my former training partner at the time. I'd love to do it, but I'm like 20. I think at the time I was 28 pounds over now. And they're like, well, you either take this fight, you're not going to fight until next year. This is, again, in July. And I was like, oh, man. And they go, well, you take it or you don't, because if you don't, we're going to put you in the back of the bench. And I was given that ultimatum and really forced the fight, took the fight. Even the California State Commission called me and they go, we're not going to allow you to fight. You have too much weight to cut. And the UFC, was like, hey, no, this guy can do it. He's made 26 pounds before. He can do 20. He's fine. And well, we ended up taking the fight. I got there so different than my regular persona that after the fight, I had to apologize to my team because I even hired people to come in to work on me, and I never worked with them because I just didn't want to deal with anybody. I was like, you guys have your own room. I'm going to stay in my room all day, every day. I'm not going to talk to anybody. Screw you. Like, it was one of those, weight cutting aspects that eventually took, it was 45 days, 54 pounds in 45 days. And, well, I got caught many times by Alex Perez. He was finally able to get the job done. He actually implemented a really good game plan against me. And, so be it. I took my first loss and 33 straight victories and almost 5 to 6 years of winning, so it was very, very different. But then, I had my YouTube series, Inside Team Shorty, where I was given a mental aspect about stuff, and I was like, you know what? DJ just got traded, but no one's looking at the bigger picture. Everyone's talking about Ben Askren coming in, DJ going away, but we had the best thing in the UFC that, the best champion they had to offer. And even then, when he was champ, Dana White threatened to close the division. Well, what about when he's gone? Who do we have? We don't have a Kobe Covington. We don't have a Conor McGregor. We don't have anyone fancy. And, I ended up being right. And because of that video, I'm pretty sure that ended up fast-tracking me getting cut. Because if not, I more than likely would have had maybe at least one more fight. But I didn't get that second chance. I was told in, I think, November, before I went to the World Championships, months after my fight, that I was finally cut. And, I ended up getting all these offers. But Brave ended up being the lucky winner, if you want to say. And Brave is... I can tell you this, what I'm getting right now with Brave is exactly what I thought the UFC was going to give me. A lot of love and respect even before I fought. And, I'm really excited for this fight because these guys are literally, treating me like I am a main event. And the crazy thing is they're treating everyone here like they're a main event. And I think that's a phenomenal thing.
Let's talk about the fight. You're taking on undefeated Amir Albazi. Amir is being quite vocal in the lead up to this too. He thinks you can't threaten him anywhere in the fight, and he's even going to be bold and predict a second round finish. So I'm not too sure if you've heard them quotes before. So what's your reaction to what Amir thinks of the fight?
I actually haven't heard any of his interviews. I haven't seen anything, heard anything. So you're saying his vocal is very different. I actually messaged them on Instagram after I had to postpone the fight, saying like, "Hey man, I respect you very much. Thank you so much. I think that's a very honorable thing." I don't believe he's ever read it, so be it. He's too popular for me, but it's just one of those things that fighters can say what they want to say. It's getting the job done in the mat, getting the job done in the cage, and I'm excited to see what he has for me. I think he's a phenomenal fighter. I've seen some of his fights. He's beaten a former IMF world champion at the flyweight division. I think that was his last Bellator fight, and he has solid hands, and I think he has a phenomenal ground game. But the biggest thing is I do believe I have a better stand-up game. I do believe I have a better ground game, but I'm not going to try to test that with him. It's like, why to go to someone's strength? I'm not John Jones that has that pride of, let me beat you at your best thing. That's not my thing. But it's a fact of all of his fights end up in the ground. Well, I'm an American wrestler. Can he take me down? And if he can't, what is he going to do then? So this is something I'm really, really excited for. He's 11-0, 26 years old. I'm 8-1, 26-year-old, Bellator versus UFC vet. We'll see what happens next.
And speaking of, it's currently at the running order. You are opening the main card, and you're saying they're treating you as a main event. But do you think that's almost even more to prove a point as well, to show there's 3 titles. Like, this is probably the most stacked Brave card of all time. But are you looking to steal the show here and really show that the UFC or whatever made a huge mistake by letting go of one of the best flyweights in the world?
For me, I'm really not trying to look back and go, oh, UFC should have done this, UFC should have done that, or, they should have kept me, or whatever the case may be. It's one of those things that if they want to be the pinnacle, in the sport, which right now technically they are, they need to hire and keep the best talent. Well, you see a lot of fighters right now even cutting their contracts because they just don't want to deal with it. I mean, even look at Dustin Poirier. He had to threaten the UFC just to get a title shot. All these guys are threatening the UFC right now. Look at Cyborg. Best in the world. She loses one fight. The UFC cares nothing about her. So it's just one of those things that it might be the most popular promotion in the world, but it doesn't mean it's the best. And right now I'm getting treated beautifully at Brave, and I'm really excited to see what happens next. And again, I go fight by fight. We see just go, what happens next from there.
Is that something that you'd look to do as well, Jose, is perhaps bring Brave stateside so you don't have to fly out to the likes of Jordan? Or would it be something you'd like to bring the promotion for the first time for their journey to the States?
I would love to have Brave in the States, but it's one of those things that right now, and this is looking at it from a business marketing standpoint of view, is the U.S. is completely tapped out with all these promotions. ONE FC is trying to get in. They're going to be on TNT, UFC, Bellator is there, all the minor promotions, Titan, LFA, all these other ones. Why not travel? And I think Brave is doing something so beautifully is that they're traveling to countries or even areas and countries that people haven't even heard of, and giving the respect to these fans here and giving them a show that they definitely want and deserve. They just, because they're not China or Beijing, because they're not Singapore, doesn't mean they shouldn't get the respect. Look, we just went to the Philippines, had a phenomenal show. We've gone to India multiple times. We've been to, now Jordan twice, and it's going to be a huge, huge thing. I'm hoping soon to, to fight in North America. We'll see what happens next. But for me, Jordan is my thing, and I'm hoping to fight again soon. But again, one fight at a time.
That's something that I've speaking to a lot, even the guys here, about like the UFC, as you said, it's the most advertised show, so a lot of people see it. We spoke about it when one was on. We're like, people realize there's so much talent outside of the UFC, that not all the best fighters are there, and I think this Brave card really illustrates that. If you look at, and I mean from top to bottom of this card, but when you look at the 3 title fights in this, you're talking about 6 of the best fighters in the world stepping in to compete for the Brave world title. So if you're tuning in, I'm not too sure stateside if it's free on Brave TV online, but the fights are readily available and free, certainly this side of the world. But what will you tell your fans to tune in? What are we going to see from you? I'm so excited to see the difference of the last time we seen you in the cage to seeing you step into the Brave cage. What are we going to expect as fans to see here on Friday night? I
can say win, lose, draw against Amir Albazi, no matter what happens, it's going to be the best Jose Shorty Torres out there. It's been 8 months since my last fight. And for me, if we look at my backstory, I lost my very first amateur fight and then went 33 straight fights. Losing for me, again, it's part of, it's reality. It's going to happen. But it's just one of those things that does mentally break me. It does really take an impact on my life. And, I pushed through it. And for me, I've been training my butt off, going to different gyms and having a phenomenal time. And I've been working with some great people. So going against Amir Albazi, and this is something that I can say for Brave, and this is something that we just kind of talked about. Because you don't know these guys does not mean they're not phenomenal athletes. Look at Manny Pacquiao when he came into boxing. Look at Triple G coming into the U.S. at 33 years old, now being a multiple-time world champ. So it's one of those things, because you don't know these guys does not mean they're not phenomenal fighters, and that's something I expect from Amir Albazi. I know he's 11-0 for a reason. I know he's one of UK's top athletes. It's one of those things that it's going to be 2 young, hungry fighters. They're not even close to their prime, giving it their best, and I think this is a career-making fight for both of us, and I'm just super excited to see what happens next.
I think that's the best way to leave it. Jose, we really appreciate your time. Fight week. I will see you on Thursday, and I will see you on the fights on the night. I look forward to calling your fight. But again, thank you so much for taking the time, Fight Week, to come on and talk to us.
Thanks a lot.
I appreciate it, guys. Take care of yourselves.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Good luck.
All the best.
Take care. That was that time of the week to fight your corner, so get your hands up. This is the part of the show where Sean, unbeknownst to me and Rob, has a topic waiting to give us, and me and Rob have to either defend or disagree with that topic. How we decide is the ultimate rock, paper, scissors. Whoever wins on 3 gets to agree with the topic. So no matter if you agree with it or not, you got to agree with it anyway, if that's the line. So on 3, Roberto. Here we go.
I win.
Because rock beats paper. So Sean, fight
Scissors.
your corner.
Rock beats scissors.
Whatever. What have you got for us?
So David from work did actually send me a topic, but then some very relevant news broke, so I'm going to use his one.
Sorry, Dave.
Yeah, no, I'm going to use his one next week, because it was a good one. But
Unless, of course, Dave, more news
breaks.
breaks.
Which is very possible.
You didn't have to mention Dave. Dave
No.
would then realise you didn't do it.
No, because I told him
him.
I was going to use it, but then the news broke.
Poor Dave tuning in
Yeah.
this week, all excited.
It's popcorn and all that.
Get your popcorn ready. But yeah, TJ got popped for EPO.
Okay.
USADA suspended him for 2 years. And my question is, should do the UFC have a moral obligation to say, no, you knew what you were doing, injecting EPO, we're not taking you back as a fighter anymore? We're cancelling your contract, essentially. Does that make sense?
Okay. So I'll agree
So
with
yeah,
that. Okay.
USADA said we're suspending you for 2 years, as in he can't be licensed to fight. Should the UFC say, we don't want you back?
Okay.
You're done with us.
Cool.
So who's going first?
So I get to pick. I'll just go first.
Okay.
So the UFC do have a moral obligation to do this, especially because the UFC came out a few years ago, don't know the exact date, and they said they were going to put a stop to PEDs in MMA because it was running rampant. We heard so many stories. We mentioned earlier that Dennis Hallman came out and said it was like 90+% of people are on some kind of banned substance. And I think the UFC, if they're going to say that they want to get rid of PEDs in MMA, they need to have a no-nonsense, complete stance against it. And especially in this situation with TJ Dillashaw, who the only way, we know scientifically, the only way he can get this in his body, if he knowingly injects it, can't be any other reason. He had to have done it. He thought about this. So I think the UFC do have an obligation to do it, and I think it would help. I think it would stop other fighters from doing it. If you get suspended for a couple of years, I think some fighters will take the risk. I think they will, and then we can have a more dangerous sport, because you have guys coming in on this stuff knowing, I'll take the risk and I'll get a bit of a ban, but maybe I'll make enough money along the way, if I get the right medical professional to help me get through this, that I can take that risk and I can be this enhanced human being, and I can be stronger, be faster, be quicker, and beat these guys. If the UFC don't take a proper stance against this, by not taking these guys back who knowingly took some kind of banned substance, I think it's wrong. That's it.
Thank you, Rob.
That was actually quite short, Rob.
Yeah.
Did you run out of ideas in there?
No, I didn't. I'm
right.
keeping them for the next part.
All right, very good. Yeah. Okay, so they rolled out the program in 2015. They brought on
Thanks for letting me
USADA. Don't worry. You actually wrote it in the news earlier. So there you go. So they brought in USADA in order to, as you said, to get rid of this. It was rampant in the sport. So they hired USADA, a third party outside, to come in to test and to do all this. The same way when they're working with a commission, they have referees in the cage to referee it. So for the UFC to be unbiased to any testing, they have to go with what USADA are saying. So if USADA have proven that somebody has taken EPO in this case, in other cases where other fighters have popped and suspended, they have to, if they're willing to take the information that USADA are giving, they have to stand behind their judge and jury and executioner as well. The same way, as I'm saying, when you hire a commission, you have a referee. If a referee steps in, Herb Dean stops a Robbie Lawler or Ben Askren fight, for example, the UFC have to stand behind that decision. The fight is over, so it's ended. So essentially, Herb Dean made that decision, and they have hired the commission. The commission have allotted Herb Dean to that fight. Herb Dean has said the fight is over. The fight is over. The same way USADA here. It's like if you go to court, you have a solicitor to represent you, you have all this, it's a judge who sits, if it's just a judge. The judge makes a decision on the evidence given to him, and the judge says, yes, these are all third parties away from whatever, and sentence is served. So for the UFC, in order for them to work correctly, they have to use USADA and the information they give and the punishment they pass down. There's a whole thing about punishment where when you serve your time is served, so you shouldn't be punished past that time. Is it the right length of sentence? I don't agree that 2 years is long enough for this type of thing. But at this time, that is the sentence that USADA have passed down. You have hired them to do this. You oblige and you go with it.
Thank you, Noel.
We're getting very
very
respectful of each other's arguments.
Let's get it on.
Yeah, so on
no,
that
Rob.
Jesus. My ears.
That hurt.
Jesus.
Sorry, listeners. So on your point, I get it. You know, the UFC did hire these people to do a job.
Now remember, he's going to start agreeing with everything I'm saying here. Just when you're,
they hired him to do a job, and the UFC. Ding. The UFC didn't have to bring in anybody, so it's the UFC's decision to bring them in. Mm-hmm. So ultimately, it was the UFC's decision to tackle this problem. And if the UFC believe, and what I'm saying is that it's not long enough, and they need to take a stance against this, that USADA isn't given the right punishment, it's still the UFC's decision to do that. They don't need to sit on the backs of somebody else. It's still ultimately their decision. USADA can say 2 years, but the UFC will say, well, we think that we need to take a stronger stance against this, and they can go with it. If you, I'm going to go with one of your analogies. If you hire somebody else, you hire a plumber, as Sean loves, and he's not doing a good job, and you don't agree with his job, you can fire him, you can get rid of him, or you can supersede his decision, and you can say, no, I don't agree with that, I'll get somebody else in, I'll do this other thing. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you have to go by what you said, their decision. I think you can go over that.
In order for it to work, because what happens is then, right, you've hired this third party to come in and to do this, right? So if you were to take this case, for example, you take this case and say, that's not long enough, we think it should be 5 years. That means you're then going to have to do that with every case. So it's all of a sudden becoming a personal thing that if you don't, the next time, be it fighter X pops and you agree with USADA, you're opening up a can of worms that every fighter historically will be like, you should have intervened with me, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done that. In order for it to work, the UFC has to hire and trust this, and USADA is one of the best best bodies to do this. So they have the testing, they have this, they're providing the UFC with the information for the best work. The UFC have to allow them to do their job. The UFC, in the same way as I mentioned with referees, cannot interfere with that. Dana White openly spoke about Steve Mazzagatti. Openly! Steve Mazzagatti was still refereeing. That's what happens. It's just part. When you hire a commission, when you hire a third body, they have Jeff Nowitzki, who's in there, who is the man in between to unblur the lines between fighters and USADA. I think that's an essential role and a very important role. But in order for this to work, you have to have the scientists who are testing this and can pass down the punishment. As you said, TJ Dillashaw also came back that his other tests were not. So it may have been a once-off foul. So to turn around and say you should get longer when it potentially is just one fight, I said it is ridiculous.
One of the big arguments for USADA to come in, and one of the reasons why the UFC got a lot of criticism early days, was because they used to say, we're regulated by the government. We're regulated by the government. They're looking after drug testing. And eventually that wasn't enough. So they brought in USADA. And you're almost taking down your own argument by saying, look, you still have Steve Mazzagatti. You had Steve Mazzagatti still refereeing. What's going on? You can say the same thing about USADA. You still have USADA giving these low punishments.
Very different.
The UFC need to do something about it.
USADA are doing a very good job with catching fighters. So the punishment in this one, like a 2-year punishment for a fighter who's 33 years of age, is a very strong punishment. That essentially is like giving it.
We're not talking about catching though. They're doing a good job catching, but it's the punishment we're talking about.
Yeah, the punishment. If you let me finish my sentence, the punishment here is like giving a 65-year-old man 10 years in prison. That basically is life. Do you know what I mean? So TJ Dillashaw is coming near the end of the prime of his career. He's 33 years of age now, so by the time he steps back into the UFC octagon, if he gets matched straight away, you're talking 35, 36 years of age. Essentially his career is he's on the downhill spiral. So the 2 years mightn't sound that strong, but when you take into all facets of the actual scenario, TJ's age, tested positive once for this, never tested positive previously, and his where he's at the 2 years, when you come back from that, it's actually quite a strong sentence. Not as strong as and to your point about the UFC, if the UFC did start drug testing the fighters themselves, but that leaves them in a position that favoritism. Like, can you imagine if the UFC were still controlling drug testing and stuff like that? If they had got somebody like John Jones or Conor McGregor or Brock Lesnar, and they tested positive, but they went ahead and let them fight or whatever. You know what I mean? That's where the problem comes. You need a third party in order to have this. They have to do something that they're not involved in.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. They need a third party to do it, but that's not the argument. They
cannot up to it. If you're hiring someone, though, you have to take their punishment. You cannot. It's like a judge. You cannot say to a judge, no, I don't agree with your sentence, I'm upping it more. He's going to serve 2 years. You serve your time, you serve your crime, and after that, it's you're.
But the difference is here isn't it's not that we're like stopping you from doing anything. They can release him and they can say we don't want to have anything to do with him. They're not actually.
Yeah, it wouldn't with a contract.
But they're not. You would. You can cancel the contract.
That's guaranteed. There's no way in hell if TJ Dillashaw has 3 or 4 fights on it, they'd have to pay him off. They'd have to pay his contract. They couldn't cancel his contract. That's very different.
Pay him off.
They have to pay him. That's
exactly.
That's not canceling a contract.
But that's the UFC's
That's
morals.
paying your contract out. So they can do that. They can certainly do that.
Although can they? They can probably. I'm sure they cut fighters all the time with fighters.
In it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it works, but they can cut contracts all the time. I don't know if they paid him or not.
Wouldn't be getting. He wouldn't get caught. He'd be demanding that, and they'd have lawsuits on their hands if they were doing that.
Yeah,
every time.
But the point is, it's the UFC's moral right to say that we're not accepting fighters who knowingly take PEDs. It doesn't matter if it costs them money. Even better, like it's on them to actually do it.
It's the same way we said should the UFC have a moral right to stop fighters from fighting and protect themselves. Essentially, when they have a punishment given out, they have to. It's when you have a law. I don't agree with laws in this country, but they're the law. You got to live by them, and USADA essentially are the law. They're the governing body and their law. So if I want to drive 130 kilometers on the M50, I'm not fucking allowed because the law is 120. And if I get caught for doing that, that's my fault. So you have to live to the law of what you're doing. And right now, USADA has handed down punishment. That's the law. The UFC has to go, okay, that's fine.
Closing arguments?
Yep. I don't need to close. I thought that's what we were doing.
All right, I'll close. There's a very different thing about what you were saying about the law and what they have to do. What I'm saying is that, yes, there's a punishment there by USADA, but the UFC shouldn't bring that person back because they not only know he took this stuff and he took it on purpose and they don't. There's no. It's not like they're bringing him back before time. It's almost like your argument that they're bringing him back before time. I'm saying extend the sentence, and extend the sentence doesn't mean TJ can't fight anymore. It's the UFC morally saying, we know you took this stuff.
But you can't.
We know
do
you
that.
took.
You can't just extend because you want it. When you're hiring a company to do this,
But it's their company. They can do what they want.
you wouldn't get fighters. They contractually everything. They'd
That's
be
not the
sued
argument,
to
though.
the
That's not
fucking
the argument.
Zoo. Yeah, but they couldn't do it because
They cut
as a
people all the time.
As a business,
They cut people all the time
as
with 5
a
fights in
business,
their contract.
they would not be able to survive because they'd be just getting sued left, right, and centre.
I don't think that's the argument, though. The argument is morally, should they do this?
But morally, in doing it isn't right. Morally, they've hired somebody else to do the job. They should stand by somebody else doing this job. These are the Dana White is a fucking emotional guy. Look at him, Jose Shorty Torres. They got rid of him. Flyweight division's gone. Flyweight division's still fucking there, motherfucker. Women won't fight in the UFC. Women fight in the UFC. Dana White, you're not coming back because of whatever. So it'd be preference if you are money to that company, they wouldn't extend your contract. So you're putting a personal opinion into something that for the structure to work, you need to stand by the laws, and the law abiding is you sat a passing sentence. Otherwise, your hands are dirty every time you either do or don't do something.
I don't think that's the case, because I think they can extend their sentence on a vast majority. Not pick what you want. If they test positive for EPO, we're going to say we don't want to be with that guy. We know that's knowingly. I'm not saying pick and choose. I'm saying they can just say we don't want to be involved with this guy.
If it's anyone who shouldn't be allowing them to come back, it's not the UFC, it's the commission. They shouldn't allow them to be commissioned in their states. That's the simple
but
thing.
this is in
that's not the UFC.
But this is in their organization.
Where was that? New York? Was New York? TJ and Sue, I think it was New York.
Yeah.
So you're not allowed to fight in New York.
Absolutely.
Go fuck yourself.
But this is their organization. They can say, I don't want you fighting in my organization. You can go and fight wherever you want, but we're morally not going to have it in our organization. That's a different point.
Yeah. All right. John.
Thank you.
Respect my dad, do you know? Yeah, great stuff. You always know when Sean's nervous when he goes.
Yeah. Very much leaning with Nola for a long way of that. Rob landed a few big ones towards the end. I thought he kind of hit the argument that I was looking for. With the
rolling with them, didn't land not a scratch.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this one to Noel, but it's a close decision.
Come on.
You waited too long to give the argument that I wanted, that it was the organisation that didn't have to take him back.
I still think that was the best point. That's all I'm gonna say. I agree with you though.
Yeah, I was going to ask, where do you stand?
I agree on that. I sure I said it in the news. Yeah. I don't agree with. I'm very weird on drug testing. Anyway.
I think when you appoint USAD, you have to stick by what they give.
You do, and that's an easy argument in that sense, because you do have to stick with them. I actually got the easier argument this week, I think. Yeah. You do have to stick with them, and they can say, we don't want you back, but they'd have to go a very different way about it. They couldn't say,
logistically,
if you served your sentence, they can't refuse you to come back when you're hiring a third body to do it. Third party.
Anyway,
3-2, 3-2.
Not that he's gloating or anything.
Not that I'm gloating. See, I'm just keeping you along. Just keep reeling you in, letting you think back to 2-all. 3-2. We'll go 4-2 next week, no doubt. But let's move it on, and Sean, get out your notepad and pen. I want to see your homework. It's time for educating young Sean. Okay, Sean, it's time to get out your pen and paper and tell us your homework and grade them out of 5 championship rounds. So the fights you were given, I'll go first, Rob. I gave you Vanderlei Silva against Quinton Rampage Jackson. The first fight, Pride Final Conflict 2003. What did we think of this?
Really good fight. Really enjoyed it. I'm still finding Pride absolutely fascinating. There's some mental stuff in Pride,
it's Japanese MMA.
Yeah, you told me before that the ropes are like wire or something.
Yeah, they're really
and there's guys on the edge pushing them off it so they don't
you ever see them they're holding them like this.
Yeah. Really good fight. The picture on screen of the square up before they start fighting is Quinton Jackson's just staring at him with his. He looks mad, but yeah, really good fight. The finish was crazy with the knees. Really good finish.
Did you notice? I think Bas Rutten might have pointed it out, but just before the finish came, Vanderlei just looked up at Rampage and just smiled.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, you're sick."
Yeah, Vanderlei is huge.
Yeah, he's a savage. Yeah,
he is huge.
He's terrifying as well. You see him doing the old roll and all.
Yeah,
he's absolutely terrifying. But the good thing about this, Sean, is if you enjoyed this fight, they had a hat trick of fights.
They did, yeah.
You can go watch them all.
watched them all. So out of 5 championship rounds, what would we give this fight?
I give this one a 4. I liked it. I really enjoyed
Nice.
it. Vandalay was good to watch.
Yeah, absolutely crazy.
He looks like an absolute freak.
Japanese MMA, where you've seen the best of him. But he was 27 then, and Rampage was 25.
Yeah.
It's mad, isn't it? Looking at them.
Very young.
Yeah, and then Rob's fight was Jim Miller and Joe Lozon. Absolute.
Yeah.
We mentioned actually because we were covering obviously Artem Lobov and Jason Knight last week. So we mentioned talking about bloodbaths, and we mentioned Jim Miller and Joe Lozon.
They actually dipped into the bloodbath on the floor a little bit.
Yeah. Brilliant fight. Really enjoyed this one. An absolute war. Like, I love it.
He's sick.
Yeah, I'm a sick human. But my recent memories of Jim Miller are a big loss streak, really, to be honest. But this fight, he looked really good. Really impressed by him.
Mhm.
Totally gave him the fight. Really impressive. First round especially, he just pieced up Lozon.
Lozon's something else though, isn't
Yeah.
he? Staying in the fight.
Yeah, that cut was insane. Like, it was literally spurting blood.
Yeah.
You could see it when they were rolling on the floor, when he was going for the chokes and stuff. You could see the blood just drip.
Yeah, I forgot how good Jim Miller looked in that fight.
Yeah.
After rewatching it, he looked fucking incredible.
That's
Even
what
his striking looked great.
That's what surprised me most. Yeah, really good. And they were talking him up as a contender. Like,
Yeah, he
This-
was.
this
He was
was
on
a-
a run.
this
yeah.
was a co-main event of a
Yeah.
pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got close. He got
Yeah.
close to a title shot. He
Yeah.
wasn't far off.
Yeah, he was on the way, and then
Yeah.
he just
He
and then
ran
he
into a
went,
few.
and probably the slump that you were talking about, Sean.
Yeah.
He ran into some big fights. So 5 championship rounds. What are we getting?
Gonna give that one a 5.
Proper
Yeah.
5.
You called
Proper
it.
5. I
Last
love
week you said one of them's getting a 5, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure you're talking about that one.
I love a
'Cause
bloodbath.
Yeah, you know this guy is a sick individual. Yeah.
Excellent work, excellent fights, well picked. Rob, you finally won something
Actually,
today.
sorry, I forgot something about this one. At the end of the fight, when you know when it's the fight stops and Jim Miller just has his head lying back on
Yeah.
Joe Lozon's
Yeah.
stomach, and
Yeah.
they just high five. It's
Yeah.
brilliant. That's really cool.
That's a meme. So if did you ever see the meme of that? So it's basically it says on it sparring, just gonna go light today, bro,
Oh,
and then it's
yeah,
just a
yeah.
picture of them two on the floor in a bloodbath.
yeah. I'm sorry, no, I cut across you there.
Those are the good old days, Sean,
Yeah.
when respect was shown after fights.
Yeah.
The good old days. Those were the days. Rob, what have you got
Yeah.
from this week?
It's the main event of UFC 116 in 2010. It's Brock Lesnar versus Shane Carwin.
Oh,
You'll enjoy that one. It's a good
yeah,
fight.
I've read a bit about this one.
Yeah.
You read about it?
Well, like, I've just
In a
se-
book.
Yeah, I've just seen stuff about it
Yeah.
on Twitter and that, like people talking about
It's
it.
a fairly famous fight.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
I think you're making it up. Yeah, that is a fun fight.
It's fun.
And isn't it weird to think, because when you think of Brock Lesnar, you think of like casual fans coming to the sport. 2010, like, it's mad, isn't
It's
it?
a long time ago.
9 years ago, Rob, is me maths.
Yeah.
Insane. I'm gonna go with. I gave it away a little earlier when we talked about the inductee in the Hall of Fame. It wasn't a good night for him, potentially. UFC 64 Unstoppable. This is the main event for the gold, the middleweight title. You might have heard of this fella. He was fighting Anderson Silva.
Oh yeah.
So this,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That lad.
Yeah. Him,
But
he was decent.
this is the Anderson Silva that was an absolute phenom in mixed martial arts. This isn't the Anderson Silva that, you know, I never forget out in Dublin. I nearly lost me absolute rag with a guy when Chris Weidman knocked him out, and I was in a pub in Dublin, and it's not often I'm out and UFC happens to be on, but it wasn't live. It was just like it was on, and some fellas like, that Anderson Silva fella's so overrated. And I'm there now. As we all know, I'm Team Weidman, like absolutely Team Weidman. But I was like, ugh. It's just that's it was like, ugh.
You know nothing.
And he
Jon
went
Snow.
to say something to me, and I was like, no,
Yeah.
no,
We're done here.
we cannot. I don't know who the guy was, like, but
Yeah.
he just started. Oh, I'm like, no, we can't have conversation.
Yeah.
But Anderson Silva. This is Anderson's only his second fight in the UFC. So he came in and
Is
he was.
this a title fight? No?
And
Okay.
it was so he was an unknown quantity in if you like, when he came into the
In a
UFC
way,
against Chris Lieben. Remember I got you to watch Chris Lieben
Yep.
a couple of weeks ago. So he fought Chris Lieben in his debut and ran through him in 49 seconds of the first round. And then he fights Rich Franklin, who Franklin is the middleweight champion and is on an absolute tear and absolutely killing.
He was
everyone.
like seen as unbeatable, and Anderson was like, he fought in Pride, and he was like very, very good. He beat great guys, but he never stood out as like the best guy. And then he came into the UFC, and then
I was a
the
big
rest, as they say,
It's history.
I was a big fan of the UFC putting names on the events like Unstoppable.
Oh,
and that
yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
They would still do that, or they ran out of
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
They're going through the
Dana's
Yeah.
vocabulary.
Some with V, some with V. The victorious.
We're done. 66.
Yeah, no, that's it. 60. We'll never run out of numbers, lads. We'll
Yeah.
never run out of numbers.
Start in Roman numerals.
So Showtime favourite. I wonder, because he wore some dodgy clothes. I wonder, is Sean's weird news full of Max Holloway's attire from Fight Week? Let's find out in Sean's weird and wonderful news.
Ben Askren and Dana White. They're friends now.
I seen that. I
Yes.
was watching it at the presser, and because Jorge Masvidal wasn't there, Askren stole the show as well. Though.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah,
watch
he
the
did.
press conference?
He's brilliant.
He's so funny.
Yeah, he's so witty.
I love how he sort of picks at Dana as well, because he knows Dana just doesn't want to engage with him because
Yeah.
he hates him.
That's why he's so red. Dana's
Yeah.
actually fuming there.
Yeah.
Look at him.
Inside, it's killing him.
Why is he always red, Dana? Very high blood pressure or something.
Yeah.
His head is always extremely red. Like he's almost the same color as his top.
I think
Isn't
you
he?
find his top is purple,
Yeah.
which isn't red.
Why is Dana White always purple?
Yeah, Dana White, eh? What a man. But yeah, Ben
Ben
Askren
Askren's,
absolutely stole the show. Phenomenal stuff. Hashtag family photo. Yeah, he just came on, grabbed Dana.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Well
Yeah.
done, Ben Askren.
Well
and
done.
for making a very boring press conference a little entertaining.
Yeah, yeah.
Just Cejudo and Moraes going, I kill you. I'm not going to allow someone who sounds like Michael Jackson beat me up.
I didn't
Yeah.
watch it.
So who the shit talk is dead.
Yeah.
Do you know he's an Olympic gold champion?
No, I didn't know that.
There you go. Fucking tells everyone. What else, Sean?
So I have this knockout here. Hold on.
Oh!
Jesus.
Oh Jesus!
Holy lamb of...
I want the sound on that because it's the sound of the kick that sounds mad.
Here we go.
It sounds like a baseball bat, doesn't it?
Jesus.
Man. And as you go after him again, we'll never know because it keeps spinning.
Oh.
Listen to the noise.
Oh, what's he doing?
Oh, does he land that left hand? Find out in 5 minutes.
No, he
he
doesn't.
doesn't.
Well
Great
done,
stuff by the
referee.
ref. Look at the ref.
Look at that.
One more time.
Can they hear that on the?
I don't know. It's not coming through that. So
Okay.
probably not.
One more time.
Just think about it. Think
Yeah,
about a slap.
So I'm gonna.
I'll
Scroll,
do the sound effect.
I'm gonna scroll up. So if you can't hear it on the thing, go to Kyle Johnson's Twitter account,
Yeah.
and the noise
At
the kick
Von
makes,
Prue.
it sounds like a baseball bat.
Yeah, it's like this.
Why is there no sound coming through?
We'll fix it now in a minute.
All right, go.
Too late now.
Just keep it rolling. We'll find out
I
now.
don't know why
5
it
minutes
does
time.
that.
Always does that.
Oh, well done, ref. Yeah.
Well done. Look at that. Trap the arm.
What else the ref
Yeah.
do? Your man be a bit...
Yeah.
well done, ref.
Well done. Whew. Great knockout though.
Beautiful knockout.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Brilliant knockout.
Didn't know Bruce Buffer was in it, though. Because it was buffering. Here all week. Sean,
Anyway,
what do you
next.
got for us?
So a bit of a mad knockout. I'm gonna start that
Was
again.
this filmed on a calculator, was it? Oh.
Why with the pause?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. See his arms.
So it was just a bit of a
Comatose.
mad one. So he lands something on him.
Yeah.
Gets caught with
He
a
just-
short
he just
little
walked
left
onto
hook.
it, like.
Yeah, another
Yeah.
short. Oh. Oh,
Ow.
look at him paddling.
Go.
Oh.
Do the second name. No.
Where am I? Oh. Nikita Podkova-Linkenov.
Do you want to do that in your MC voice?
That's how I start, though. I go Podkov-Linkov.
Yeah, that LN is a
Podkova-Linkov.
strange combination.
Podkova-Linkov. Podkova-Linkov.
We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Nikita.
Podkavalnikov.
Podkova-Linkov. Podkova-Linkov. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Give us a look at it again. I want to see his arms. Look at the little... It's a short left hook here, look. Left
Oh,
hook.
it is. Yeah,
Boom.
little check hook.
Yeah.
And then,
And then
catches
another
him
one.
again. And then that's a hammer fist
Whoa.
that just didn't need to happen.
Oh.
Nice finish, though.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Again.
work.
Referee, well done.
Yeah, one
Straight in.
more. Yeah, one more. Go on. For a crack. Look at the little check hook here.
Yeah.
Look, just along the way in. Little
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
It's so easy to miss it as well.
Yeah.
Momentum.
He's got a left hook on him. Got a set of jeans on him.
Got a set of hair. Oh, good. I didn't go there, did I? Yeah, Sean. Weird and wonderful news. No Max Holloway.
No Max Holloway this week, although he did have some dead runners on him this week.
Yeah, but sure.
DC
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
DC gave him an L for the runners,
Yeah.
for the
Ah.
trainers. Yeah.
Yeah, phenomenal stuff. Max Holloway dressed this week wearing a lovely yellow raincoat as well. Looked like the child from It.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Georgie.
So this, yeah, it is Georgie. Well done. There's been a few good fights. Episode 7. If you haven't done it already, hit subscribe. Make sure you hit the notifications that the bell ringing thing is there. And if you like what you see, but you prefer just to hear it, we're available on all audio as well. So Spotify, iTunes, Android, anywhere you listen to podcasts, we're there. A few good fights. Give us a follow on Twitter as well. We're on Twitter and Instagram, all under the MMA movement. So go and give us a like and a share and follow and do everything you can there as well. But this has been episode 7. We thank Jose Shorty Torres. We thank Brendan Dorman. Most importantly, Sean, thanks for picking me as the winner again this week.
No worries, no.
Snake.
Until next week, home edition next week, I'd imagine would it be a bank holiday here in Ireland.
I can confirm I'll have better Wi-Fi this time as well.
So we will be all sat. I mightn't have Wi-Fi moving home. So I could be in here with you, Sean. But until then, enjoy the fight card that we didn't cover this week because it's shite. So apparently if you press this button somewhere here, it subscribes and you get all the notifications for the show. So hit that button there.
You have to click the bell though to get the notifications
here.
down the bottom.
Make sure you hit that and they get the ringer things because Rob didn't know. So it's the button there.
It's somewhere roughly around that area.